off. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Mind Man podcast. I got an awesome guest today, the Black Airbender, my man David Graham. And Devin, bro, I want to know, brother, what does the Black Air? Where did you get that name? I gotta start there.
Okay, Avatar: The Last Airbender, and I just put the Black Airbender because I teach breathwork, so it just meshed perfectly.
Awesome. So yeah, that's what we're about to talk about today. We're all going to talk about the power of breath, and then all about breath work. I'm genuinely curious about like kind of breath work you practice and the things you do, man. And so I know that my audience is going to benefit dramatically. And just after reading your book, watching your YouTube videos, man, you're one very wise young man, and I can't wait to like dive into that mind, bro. So first and foremost, man, absolutely, brother. First and foremost, man, I want the world to really get to know you a little bit more, man. Like, so basically tell us about who you are. So you can share a little bit more of your background, you know, what do you do? And in particular, what led you like breath work? How did you stumble upon breath work?
Okay. All right. So 5 years ago, I was already into meditation and things of that nature. But it was about 4 years ago when I really got into breath work and the power of breath, when I literally lost everything. And on my way back home, all the way from Cali, I drove all the way from New Jersey all the way to Cali. And when I lost and gave up on everything, on the way back home, I had met a Bigu master. Bigu is the state of the Chinese version of what they would call breatharian.
Okay.
And the point of Bigu is not to particularly become a breatharian, which is someone who eats little or nothing at all. It's to feel. And to get to that state, it takes a lot of practice and lots of cleansing of the body and mind as well. Because whatever you feed your mind is your reality in itself.
Facts, yeah.
Big time. So I did 2 weeks of juice fasting way before I would literally have my first breathwork session, which was 2 hours. A 2-hour breathwork session with the master. And I purged a lot. I cried a lot. And it showed me how powerful our breath really is, and the feeling state that one can really get to. And everything in our reality is really more based off feeling rather than our thoughts. You know, thoughts do produce gravity, but if we're not in a feeling state of mind, which connects everything all at once, including thoughts, you're not producing or manifesting as fast as you would like, quote unquote. You know, how can one attract a lifestyle that makes them happy if they're always sad all the time?
Yeah, that's a real good
and then when you dive into emotions itself, you start to realize, and especially going deep into breath work, everything is a battle of stress. You know, stress is the major key factor. You know, beyond mental stress, there's physical stress. There's all types of stress, and with the breath, it goes deep within. Breath, in my opinion, is literally emotional fitness. Emotional fitness. You can, because I also coach MMA fighters, Muay Thai fighters, you name it.
I saw that.
Yeah, one of my recent clients is Laura Gallardo. She's a rising MMA fighter. She's gonna be If she keeps on her path, she's gonna make some big noise. Come soon. Like she's wild. But going back to what I learned from the fighters themselves, you know, you can have a healthy diet, you can exercise a lot, you can do all those stuff, but if you don't have the emotional fitness aspect, you know, what are you doing in the downtime of recovery? Because there's trauma that's always going to be stored in our body. Think of muscle memory.
Yeah.
Right? So with breathwork goes deep into those tissues, and that's why there's a type of breathwork called rebirthing, that people have this instance where they remember their birth. they go so deep in the traumas of the tissue that they literally remember themselves being born. That's how crazy and deep it gets in terms of breath work.
Because your body remembers all of that, is what you're saying.
Yep.
Wow.
And you can quote unquote call that time travel within the body too, but that goes into the whole esoteric thing. But the main thing that I want to just make a point of, that your muscle retains memory in itself. Everything around you. They even say, when you're in the womb, everything that happens within the amount of time you're in the womb, you're recording that subconsciously in your subconscious.
Oh, I believe that.
So it's because a baby in itself is highly malleable, so they can retain so much information in the tissue. So that's why if anyone's pregnant watching this, get in the habit of playing some positive frequencies while you're pregnant as much as possible.
You mean, like on YouTube, like looking up like frequency, different hertz?
Yeah. I prefer, to be honest, more of classical music, because there's certain frequencies out there they've been playing. You can rewind it and they would have some crazy, interesting subliminals. So sometimes you don't know what's what out there.
Yeah. So I was reading, and sorry to interrupt you, but in one of your books, I read both of them on a Kindle, and then you said that you were talking about listening to music, and you said things like Beethoven's Seventh Symphony Movement 2. You talk about listening to that kind of music, just like classical music. So what exactly are the benefits from listening to music like that as opposed to listening to rock or hip hop or, something like that?
So one of the main things I love about classical music is the instrument with the violin. Now, the violin is the only instrument that sits close to your heart. And they found that on the electromagnetic field that the heart actually produces a huge vibration in itself. So when you have the violin playing against your heart, you are playing a frequency of something close to the heart, and Japanese science and German science have found instruments to weigh the actual soul of a person, and they found the soul to be behind the heart. So when you put those two things together, it's a different type of frequency when you're listening to the violin music. And when you look at quote unquote people of elite status, there's one of the most interesting things about them, why they go to operas and why they go to classical, and why they listen to classical music themselves. Even the Queen, she loves classical music. That's one of the main reasons, because you would go to things like this and you would go into manifestation exercises with your subconscious and with the classical music, because you are in a calm state of mind. So again, like I said, stress is the biggest factor that's blocking us from really feeling the whole spectrum of life, to really experience the whole spectrum of life.
Wow, yeah. And I that day I messaged you saying, man, this book is like really, even though it's so short, like, man, you like really, it shifts a lot of the way you think. I'm not gonna lie, like I was like a lot of jaw-dropping moments, and then but I got that, that symphony, and I listen to it now when I work, and I'm just so much more focused. So like it's real, like it keeps me really, really focused. Like I'm not like bouncing all over the place. So that's dope. And now so you talked about the first time that you did your breath work, you were like crying and stuff like that. And so that reminds me of an experience. So are you familiar with Sadhguru?
Sadhguru, yeah.
Yeah. So I went to go see him late last year in person. I went to his inner engineering in person, and he initiated us into a practice called the Shambhavi. I'm going to try to say it. It was Shambhavi Mahamudra Kriya. And within the practice, there's like a breathing
with the eyes going up. Yeah,
exactly. Yes. And then within the practice, there's a breathing pattern that they call Viparita Swasa, something like that. And while he was initiating us into this process, it was so weird, because he says, whatever your body is like, he goes, you may start experiencing something, let it happen. Just let it happen. And people around me were screaming, laughing, crying. And then me, myself, I just like I started bawling like a baby because like the breath work is like you're doing a real rapid breath in your in and out your nose. And I just started crying. And now when I do this practice on my own, I do it twice daily. Every time I do that specific breathing pattern, my eyes always get watery a little bit, like they tear up, and I just feel a real deep sense of like bliss. So like, do you know what, like, I mean, like, how does the breath cause feelings of like just pure bliss like that? Like, I mean, I don't know. It's a beautiful experience. I would like to know your insights on that.
So the breath itself is a consciousness. So not a lot of people know, but it takes three days for the same breath that you breathe to come right back to you.
Wow.
Scientifically proven, it takes 3 exact days. And there we go. 3, 6, 9 in terms of Nikola Tesla and his whole philosophy on vibration. So when you look at the Fibonacci sequence and how life is formed, and even to the structure of an atom, you look at all those things and you look at the fact that it takes 3 days for the breath to come back to you. The breath has its own consciousness. And the reason why I say that as well, when you're breathing in air, it's more than just air. You're also breathing in water molecules, correct? There's little hints of water molecules. And water itself has memory. Water is a technology.
I say thank you to my water every time I fill it up.
Hey, a good thing to add to that is close your eyes while you're drinking the water and say whatever you want to say. The reason behind that is when you close your eyes, you are looking within yourself, and you might not be aware of it. But even going back to the whole the Shivambu, Shambhavi, that mudra, your eyes is literally responding and intaking so much information in terms of neurons when you have your eyes closed. There's so many neurons firing that you're not even aware of. And even with your eyes open, you're literally taking in so much information that your eyes is registering. So when your eyes are closed, whatever muscle or whatever tissues that is required to digest the water or digest your food, and it's also being more in tune with your food as well. That's one of the process of being more in tune with your food. And this is whole breath air and nuggets in itself. And it actually helps with digestion. I found, people with digestive issues, I get them to, turn off the TV and just, be more intimate with your food. Be more intimate with what goes in your body, because your food is going to retain information in itself and thus feeding your body information in terms of, if you look at epigenetics and the whole restructuring the DNA and the whole science behind that. So it's great to close your eyes while you drink anything, eat anything. And in itself, eating itself is a meditation. We do it almost every day, and it affects our energetic centers. Yeah. No matter how you look at it. So that in itself is a meditation.
You say life itself is a meditation.
Life itself is a meditation.
I would love for you to elaborate on that a little bit.
So, going back to the breath. So the breath is here when you're born and when you die. So going back to the fact that it's its own consciousness, when you harmonize with the breath and attach different feelings and be more aware of what you're feeling, the way that you breathe in certain situations, you can pinpoint how you want to direct the way of life itself, if you get what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. So let's say you're in a real stressful situation. Really look how you breathe. You might be in a shallow breath. Shallow breath equals a shallow state of mind, because you're in that panic, you're in that fight or flight mode. When you're having the best time of your life, chilling, or however you want to describe it, not worrying about anything, you're breathing a lot slower, you're breathing a lot deeper.
I've realized that, yeah.
If you can bring all those instances of that time you were, breathing at a deeper level, an intimate level, a relaxed level into the stressful situation, you'd be surprised how your perception of that situation changes. Or you might even find a solution just breathing that way in itself. Deeper breath equal deeper state of mind equals deeper thoughts. So you have deeper thinking. Thus, you may create a solution a lot faster than you would in a shallow state of mind. You know, a shallow and a deep hole in that perception of life, you feel like there's no way out. Thus, you're suffocating.
Got you. Yeah, because I realize in those moments of anxiety and stuff, your breath is real rapid. You may even like hold it a few times. Like I've seen that a few times. And so what I want to know, what is one of the most I guess biggest, but like what is not biggest? What is one of the most important lessons you would say that you learned directly from your breath?
Repeat that question one more time.
Yeah, like what was one of the most just life-changing like lessons or realizations that you've realized by just, directly watching your breath? Like for me, one of the things for me was seeing, paying attention to my breath, and I saw, hey, well, one thing ends, another thing begins. So like holding on, what's the point of that? Just letting go and try to hold on to one breath. You can't have the next. And so that's what like I realized by watching my breath. And like I wanted to see if like you've had any realizations by just, being in tune with your breath.
One of the biggest, there's so many, but
I can imagine. It's easy.
Yeah. One of the biggest is time. The more you're in tune with your breath, you'll realize time is happening all at once, and it really is a man-made concept. Because if the breath is here when we die and will continuously be there, when will be part of natural law, no matter how you look at it, and we're breathing in that element 24/7, 365 a day, you realize time is really a man-made concept. And if we are electric beings and we're infinite, as science is getting closer to admit, and they would totally agree at this point.
I love it too.
We're literally breathing in our ancestors. We're breathing in different points of consciousness in terms of the fact that this breath was once a lion's breath, it was once a turtle's breath, you name it. It was part of literally everything. So if it's part of everything, in quantum thinking, it is literally part of the whole spectrum. If I were to go into another dimension, or even in your dreams, you're breathing in your dreams. Am I right?
Yeah, I mean, right.
You're breathing in your dreams. So one of the biggest things it taught me was time is really a man-made concept.
Yeah, that's true. So you're telling me with each breath, I'm breathing the same breath that Jesus and Buddha and Lao Tzu, all of them once took a breath into. So is there
exactly.
Okay? So is there only, because I've always thought this way too, that there's really only one breath. Like it's not my breath, your breath, your breath. Like it's breath, like the breath of life, I guess. Like what's your intake on that?
I always had this saying, thank you for sharing your breath. The reason I totally agree. Yes, there's one breath, but the thing is, if you look at humanity as a whole spectrum, you see a tiny atom that's part of the whole breath consciousness as a whole. So in retrospect, there's always an inhale and exhale happening simultaneously. And that also goes back into what I was saying. You see, this is the whole 5D thinking, that time itself is really a man-made concept. So if I'm breathing in, someone's always going to be breathing out. And that state of mind is also going deep into the 5D spectrum of things, being it with one breath. Because there's only going to be one inhale and one exhale. There's no third process when it comes to breathing. There's always inhale and exhale, i.e. yin yang, dark and light. So when you bring dark matter into the whole quantum realm of thinking, if you look at the inside of your nose, it's dark. So you're breathing in parts of dark matter, and then when you're breathing out, it goes into the light that is the world. And technically, we're made up of everything of the universe. So if you think of a black hole in that sense, our nose is in a way is black holes.
Yeah, it's damn, dude. You're over here making me like, I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah. So there's always going to be a dark spectrum and a light spectrum that's going in and out simultaneously, dealing with one breath as a unison consciousness. So yes, I have the saying that thank you for sharing your breath. I love that saying, but I also totally agree that yes, we do have one breath.
Yeah, you can never have, I mean, you've never had two breaths. Like, it's just like that one breath. Yeah.
Right,
totally.
right. And then it goes into different states of breath consciousness. And that's a whole nother story.
Got you. Okay. So what exactly is alchemy breathwork? Like, how is that different than other breathwork practices? Because I know somebody who I've done like breathwork with them, but I think it was like a completely different kind of breathwork.
Okay. So one of the main things that make alchemy different is when you look at the word alchemy, or in the old mindset, it would be changing from a metal or whatever into gold, some type of metal into gold, or the philosopher's stone into gold, or however you want to perceive that state of thinking. So when you add alchemy, it's the state of changing, alchemical. Anything that gives us a chemical response, aka alcohol, al. There you see the base word al, and it gives us an alchemical response when you drink it. So the breath in itself does the same thing, and my whole philosophy with alchemy breathwork is turning breath into gold. So that's how I gave it alchemy breathwork, and it also dives into some of Nikola Tesla's viewpoints of consciousness and utilizing that into the breathwork itself as well.
I got you. So let me ask you this. Is breathwork enough to get somebody out of a depressed state? Get somebody out of, like states of anxiety? Or is breathwork even enough to take them off of antidepressant style medication, stuff like that?
Oh, big time. So going back to what I was saying before, notice how you're breathing when you're in a calm state of mind, in a happy state of mind, versus you breathing in an anxious state of thinking in shallow breaths. So when you're taking quality breaths, you're taking quality source of energy. It doesn't come from a place of lack. It comes from a place of abundance. When you're breathing in deep, you have a deep reservoir, quote unquote. So your reservoir is never going to be empty. So deeper breaths in that whole state of thinking is going to go deep within your reservoir and really push out an expansive mindset that I can grow, I can get better. And
Oh, okay.
I've helped so many people with anxiety and so many people who have done too much psychedelics because they get numb from, I would say they get numb from actually feeling. And the whole thing with the breath and feeling is you're going deep within your muscles, you're going deep within memory, and you're getting to feel more. So it would literally take me about 2 weeks consistently doing breath work with people who've done too much psychedelics, because the psychedelics numb you. They numb you from actually feeling. So the thing is, psychedelics, I don't want to say versus breath work, but psychedelics versus breath work, I'll just go there.
Yeah.
So psychedelics get you into what it'll have you an outer body experience. Versus breath work, it's more of an inner body experience.
I saw you say that on one of your YouTube videos, and it was pretty, like, it made me think a lot different.
Right. So many people who have done with, dealing with nightmares or crazy things in their life, they find themselves, the deeper they go into the breath work, they find themselves fighting to go back inside their bodies than anything. It's like they found themselves fighting to go back inside their bodies. And when they have that awe moment, they feel even more alive. I'm actually alive. I'm not dead. I'm not numb.
Yeah.
Because when you're numb, you can barely feel anything. And if you can't feel anything, when you go take a toxin, maybe like alcohol or whatever toxin it is, you don't know the feeling of what it's actually doing to your body. Hence, lowering your life force, your vibrational force in terms of life. And when you're more aware of it, and that's why people, I really don't push diet on people who I do like 3 months with or 6 months with. They found themselves, they want to be more hydrated more than ever because they want to go, they feel more hydrated with the breath. So like attracts like in terms of that mindset. Be like, all right, I want to feel more alive. You know what? I'm going to drink more green juices. I want to be more healthy. They found themselves going into that mindset, and then they start asking me questions along those lines, and then
Like,
I dive
head
deep
that
naturally. Way. Right. I don't even have to really force it. I let the breath do the talking.
Yeah, I like that. And no, that makes sense, because and especially when I eat more mindfully, I realize that I naturally just eat a lot less than I normally do, because I'm like, I know you see, I'm all into bodybuilding, so we eat a lot, to build the muscle. But then I've done the intuitive eating and listening to my body, and I eat like I'm a fraction of what I really eat. I mean, of what I usually eat on a day to day. When I am more mindful, I see myself just naturally not wanting to eat so much. And
yeah, especially when I work with fighters, I might find myself battling their dietitian.
no, yeah, oh, dude, I can imagine. No, man, I can imagine. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, but they found themselves, performing a lot more, because the thing is, you're in that healing state and you're healing a lot faster because it takes a lot for your body. It takes a lot of energy to digest. So when you're redirecting that energy that you would use for digestion or breakdown of anything, you're pushing more ions into different parts of the body, and the oxygen absorption goes way up. So you're healing a lot faster. You're sleeping a lot less. That's a big plus. And I even found myself growing in mass, even though I'm still on liquids. I'm like 280 plus days on liquids right now, and I'm still growing in mass.
Wow. What, is there a reason why you're doing that? Is that like just what you want to do, or are you doing it for a certain amount of time, or what's going on?
It's just got to the point where I stopped fighting with myself. So I went from 80% liquids to 100%, and I can breathe a lot better on liquids. So that's why I say anyone who's doing breathwork, just find yourself doing it first thing in the morning, so you don't have anything in your stomach. Breath work is great to do at any time, but you'll feel more of it, i.e., with an empty stomach. You'll feel more of the effects of breath work on an empty stomach versus breath work with a full stomach.
Yeah, like all my meditation practices and stuff, I always do them on an empty stomach. I fast 20 hours every day.
Okay, cool, fire.
And the reason why I started for like the health benefits, but then I started to realize that it was growing to be more of a like a spiritual practice for me to fast that long. Because I just noticed that like, hey, I don't need the food. I really don't. And no, but that's interesting. So do you fast as well, or is it just the juicing?
Yeah, so it's so I fast about like 16 to 20 hours ish.
Oh,
around in terms of dry fasting.
Yeah.
And then I would break it with it's mainly been banana milk, so it's just banana and water. That's really it. Or some weeks I'll do I've been into oranges and lime recently. I like oranges and lime.
Got you,
man. So yeah, OJ and lime. That's my thing.
Got you, man. Got you. So I want to discuss this little, it was kind of like a realization I had, and I just want to like, hear what you have to say about it. So one time I was watching my breath and I was like just really in tune with it. And I started to look up, I was looking up at the stars. And then as I was looking up at the stars, every time I look up at the sky, I usually look at the stars, right? Like I usually stare at the stars. But then this one night in particular, I was just really aware of the space in between all the stars, right? Like just the blackness and all the emptiness. And I was looking at that and I was just like, wow. I was like, that's crazy because every star, it has its beginning. It's going to have its ending. Everything that's created literally comes out of nothing. This clear, whatever this is. But no matter, like, everything has a beginning and an ending, but that nothing endures, And so it hit me one day. I was like, holy shit. I was like, the same space that is in the stars, that's in the sky, has to be within me because every single breath is like a star. It just comes out of nothing. It returns back to nothing, but that gap in between every breath is always freaking there. And like this one night, I became strongly aware of the gap in between my breath and then the gap out there. And I was just like, wow. I was like, is the universe literally sitting in me right now? So how do you, like, what's your input on that? Like, do I got the right idea here or?
Yeah, it's actually in my book too. So I say silence is part of the whole creation itself. What is in between the silence? There's always going to be a hint, a microsecond of a pause.
Always.
What's in between the pause? And when you go into breath work, and one of the main things I started to ask myself the deeper I got in the breath is, who is watching the observer?
Oh, damn.
Who is watching the observer?
That's a trip. Yeah, man. See, I love conversations like this because I get so much from these kind of conversations.
So when you look at the double split experiment.
Yes. Oh my God, that experiment is mind blowing.
Yeah, when they shoot an atom towards its target, when they look at the atom, it splits. When they look away, it hits the target. So that also proves that also thoughts produce gravity, and there's a connective force that when we look out, our eyes are the projectors as well.
And it's like the atoms know when we're looking. That's
atoms,
weird.
That's why I said, who is watching the observer?
Man, dude, I guess, man, this stuff is crazy. And I like really, really getting, deep on this. And I've I've always had like recently, man, because I've stumbled upon like spiritual practices and stuff like that in 2018, and then since then I've just been, getting more curious, and all the reading led me to like, okay, I want to see what these people are talking about. Let me actually meditate. Let me like try to experience. I want to see what's going on, and so one day I was like watching my breath, and like I kind of got the sense that, but I don't know how you feel about this, because I saw that you said, there's really like the spirit is the body. Like I've always knew like the body is spirit and flesh. It's like, so I was watching my breath, and I was getting because I was like trying to watch my breath, and I was like, man, you can't really watch it. You can like kind of feel the sensation of it. And so I was all like, where is that path going? And it kind of like gave me the feeling that the breath is kind of like a string that ties the spirit to the body. Is that,
Yep.
is that like, that headed the right direction?
It's that's why I said breath consciousness.
It's crazy when you pay attention to life, what it reveals to you.
So imagine this whole spectrum of consciousness that is the breath as a body, correct? Mm-hmm. So if you look at the veins of the breath, it is literally connected to every human, so to speak. And that's why I said, going back to the inhale and exhale. Again, who is watching the observer? The observer in itself is maybe the whole spectrum of it all, i.e. the breath.
Man, it's just a universe experience in itself.
Exactly.
Man, dude, I feel like we could talk for hours. Just freaking hours.
You'd be surprised, yeah.
No, man, definitely, man. So I see you wearing a copper ring. I myself got a copper ring on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a copper ring. I got this from that when I went to go see Sadhguru, and I see you sitting under a copper pyramid. What's, can you like, I got a good, and I do drink my water out of a copper vessel right now. It's just,
okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't washed it. So right now it's downstairs. And, so like, I kind of got like some ideas of like the benefits of, more like copperware and stuff like that. Can you explain like, the benefit of wearing copper on your skin and a copper pyramid like that? Like
So copper on the skin is actually better than consuming it. The reason behind that is if you drink too much copper, it's a problem. But the other plus on the skin is one of the most underrated organ that we take for granted. So the skin knows how much copper we need to absorb inside the blood. And when it gets to that point, that's when you're going to see that greenish tint on the skin, because it absorbs enough copper. It doesn't need it won't go overboard when it comes to absorbing copper
on the skin.
So, on the skin, and the skin, it'll go inside the blood, and you get the benefits just on the skin. That's why I gave up on the copper vessel. But the thing is, this is not just copper. It's called a tensor ring, and tensor ring was one of the main things that Tesla himself found in terms of the tensor field. And you see that the way that it's twisted. So if you look at the way the DNA is twisted, and the Fibonacci spiral and the structure of an atom, if we take this tensor ring and we put it under GDV imaging, you'll still see the electrons going continuously round and round the tensor ring. So tensor rings, copper itself is a crystal. And it's, in my opinion, I feel like it's the most powerful crystal versus moldavite or whatever crystal. The reason is because it has high piezoelectricity, and it never loses that, where you always have to put your crystals, you've probably heard, put in the sun so it charges and all those things, correct?
Yeah.
You don't need to do that with tensor rings. It's always going to be charged. That's a crazy thing about tensor rings. And tensor rings, when you put them under water, they create ormus. And ormus is a structure that's also found in gold. It's literally found in your sperm. But the main difference with drinking ormus too you might drink too much ormus and it could have a detrimental effect. So the plus with making your own ormus retention rings and not putting it in the water, just putting it underwater, it creates a spin cycle that this radionics professor explained to me, that when it creates that spin cycle and all that orgone energy, which is found in life or key energy, however you want to describe it, adds to the water, it creates the ormus factor. Thus I said water has memory. So when the water structures, because structured water is powerful water, it's more powerful than Kangen. Because Kangen have so many, I didn't want to get into Kangen.
No,
but,
no, I've had so many people try to sell me those machines.
Yeah, here's the thing. So when I make orgone water, I use distilled water, and distilled water is literally like you're drinking from clouds that's not polluted. So when you get a distiller or you get distilled water, you are drinking the purest form of water. Kangen has impurities in the water. And that's why you won't see many people fasting on Kangen for 60 plus days. I want to find someone that fasts on Kangen 60 plus days. When I talk to, people who are deep into health, they found themselves, people that don't eat cooked foods, it's how I know Kangen is really bad. People who don't eat cooked foods, they don't really have an acidic body, correct? So their body is already in a state of alkalinity, normal alkalinity. Your body's supposed to produce its own normal rate of alkaline levels. It's not supposed to have an outside source messing up the alkaline levels up and down, up and down. It's supposed to create its own stomach acid. You're supposed to have stomach acid. So, you kill different microorganisms that don't belong in there. So with Kangen, they found themselves to have stomach issues because what's happening is it's really eating away some parts of your stomach, which is pretty bad.
Sounds bad.
Yeah, that's why I want to find someone to go 60 plus days on Kangen water, just Kangen water on a fast versus someone on distilled water. It is total difference. So, and when you look at epigenetics, we produce distilled water ourselves when it comes to urination or whatever. So why are we going far beyond our natural state to get something that is alkaline? It just doesn't make any sense.
I was about to say that when you ask yourself that, like logically, you're trying to come to a logical answer.
So when it comes to water having memory, if you look at a purity standpoint, distilled water is the easiest water to program in that sense, because there's no pollution in the waters. There's less ions in the water versus even spring water. Spring water has minerals, yes, but in itself, if you look at minerals, it's literally dirt. So instead of drinking dirt, you could get yourself some distilled water that's really pure. And so I put distilled water in a Marne glass after I program it with the orgone water. And the Marne glass, it only absorbs UV rays and infrared rays. So when you go to saunas, you see that infrared rays have a huge benefit to the skin, i.e. what goes beyond the skin, your blood. So, and the sun itself, when you don't have any impurities in your body, you can absorb more of the sun, creating more melanin in your body. Thus, your body becomes more electric, and you're more, you can withstand heat. I found myself, the lighter I went in terms of my diet and the deeper I went to breath work, I could be out in the sun for God knows when, versus me on the diet, the poor diet I had years ago. I couldn't be in the sun. Even as a Jamaican, I couldn't be in the sun as long.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So to break up the myth that, Black people are better out in the sun, that's not entirely true.
Got you. Breatharians are definitely the best in the sun.
Yeah, for sure. So, the Marne glass is pretty powerful. It only takes 30 minutes for the Marne glass to charge in the sun, and it's only absorbing UV rays and infrared rays.
How do you spell that? You said the what glass?
Myron glass. So it's MIRON.
Okay, I'm gonna look into that. Got you. Awesome, awesome. Now, one thing I did want to ask you though, also before we get to the end of this is,
Hmm.
how can we use the breath to help us stay healthy during this whole COVID-19 mess we're dealing with?
Ooh, okay. Uh, breath work, of course.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead and talk on that real quick.
Right. So here's the main thing that people, whether you believe it's in the air, which doesn't make any sense. You don't see the president wearing a mask.
Mm-hmm.
So, and this whole conspiracy about 5G. So let's say the whole 5G thing is real and it's having an effect that's creating the corona. So if I have an acidic body and I'm having radiation beaming at me, my acidic body won't be able to defend the acidic state that the frequencies that's beaming from the 5G is trying to alter my DNA. So when it's altering my blood at, I think it's like 60 gigahertz, which is anti-oxygen, and our whole entire body is made up of 65% oxygen.
Yep.
So when it's lowering the oxygen rate and oxygen absorption, I'm prone to get sick if I'm not doing breath work and I have a poor diet, right? Because the oxygen absorption, if I go to a person and I look at their oxygen level, it's going to be 99. Mine is going to be 99. But the main difference is my oxygen absorption is way. I did the test too. My thing is like way off the roof. It's crazy. Versus a normal person, so think of cells dying off fast at a fast rate. So in terms of recovery, if I have an acidic body, I won't recover as fast to alkalize and produce more and build an immunity to what's going on in terms of radiation. But if I have an alkaline body and I'm in an alkaline state, including mindset,
Yep.
that plays a huge factor. I will recover a lot faster than a regular human that doesn't pay attention to their diet and their breath. So that's how you really become immune to this whole corona thing.
So is that why you haven't been sick in 6 years?
I haven't been sick in 6 years. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember I saw you post. You're like, I haven't been sick in 6 years. Ask me how, and I guess I just discovered exactly how.
I'm gonna make a shirt. Dude,
I love it. It's been a while since I've been sick now, but no, man, I love it, brother. So, yeah, man, this has been extremely awesome, and I want to know what, like, how do people who do want to do one-on, because you do offer what kind of services do you offer, so people who want to work with you, they know like what kind of services you offer?
Right. So I'm one of the few people out in the world right now that offers, when you go to quote unquote breatharian retreats, because I've had people from different breatharian retreats come to me and they feel like they didn't get the full benefits as they want to. That's because, you shouldn't be focused on this lifestyle becoming only a few days. It should be a lifetime.
No,
So,
definitely.
yeah. So I offer literally a whole year package. I do 6 months with people, 3 months, and I also do 6 sessions whenever you want, and I do 1 hour packages. So I'm one of the few people that will literally breathe with you every day for the whole year.
Wow, that's awesome.
There's not many in the world that will do that.
No, definitely. Yeah, man. I definitely, man. And I want to know also, why is breath work mostly conducted through the nose and not the mouth? Because I found myself, as I became more conscious of my breath, I breathe less with my mouth, and it's more, I'm always conducting it through my nose.
Right. That's why even Wim Hof himself said, his type of breath work is more watered down, and he acknowledges that there's many types of different breath work that will go even way beyond his. I don't want to say way beyond his, but in a deeper sense.
Yeah.
In that sense, yeah, because even he acknowledges that. So, when you're doing it mostly through the nose, you're building up nitric oxide. When you're doing it mostly through the mouth, you're losing about 40% oxygen. So in alchemy, we redirect all that 40% that you're losing in breathworks that deals with fight or flight. We redirect it into more nitric oxide buildup and more nitric oxide buildup. And you can look into nitric oxide. You can even take supplements for nitric oxide, which is crazy. I didn't even know. I looked into it. I'm like, oh, there's even supplements for nitric oxide. Produce it yourself. I'm like, why?
Yeah. Wow,
So,
that's crazy.
yeah, the benefits of nitric oxide in itself, it kills viruses. It kills organisms that produces bacteria. So there's those two things make you more of an alkaline state.
By breathing through your nose more.
Just by breathing through your nose more rather than your mouth. We can't be mouth breathers. We got to be more nose breathers.
That makes
It's funny. It's funny when you look at shows that deal with like a future aspect, you will find them somehow. I don't know what's with time travel and these type of things, but they insert the whole mouth breather aspect. We don't want to be mouth breathers.
Yeah, that's crazy. Because all the breath work I've done has always been through the nose, breathing instead of from the chest, from your stomach and all of that, man. And how long are your sessions usually? Like, so if somebody wanted to work with you for 3 months, they basically meet you for like an hour a day, or how does that work?
No, it's like so it's 3 days a week, about 3 days.
Okay,
a week.
got you.
Yeah, and I even give them homework. So Alchemy Breathwork is not just sessions you sit down and go on throughout your day.
And
it's
then
breathwork. It's breathwork you can also bring within you throughout your whole day. I've helped business people, all walks of life, MMA fighters, you name it. I've worked with some interesting people from all over the world.
Wow. How long have you been doing this kind of work?
So teaching it now, it's been 2 years.
Awesome.
And actually doing it, it's been 3.5 years now, almost 4.
Got you. And all breatharians see is love, right? Nothing else.
Always. Nothing else. That's the mindset.
I know. I like that. And I love how you're very inclusive with your perception. It's all like one. And like, I used what you said, like, you said, like, if you can like just accept the moment, not like, I've got something you said in your book, like how you said like it makes things a lot easier by just accepting the oneness, not trying to separate yourself from the moment,
right?
Like that. And I did that yesterday because something didn't go my way, the way I wanted it to go. And I remember I read it and I applied that, and then like I was like, oh man, I'm not angry, like I'm not, and like I like that, and I like how you said no guru can shit for you. So like, like he's like, don't, because I'm not gonna lie, I was very like, like Sadhguru and like
right
up to him. But one thing about Sadhguru too was somebody said, "What's the best piece of advice you can give somebody?" He goes, "Don't look up. Don't look up to people. Don't look down to them. Look at them for what they are. And you'll navigate through life effortlessly."
Like I say, I let the breath do the talking.
I love it, man. I love it, bro. So
one thing I just want to end off saying, no matter how you look at life, you made it happen. You created the reality that you're dealing with at that moment. So why not utilize the breath in that instance to redirect the equation that gave you what you're seeing? And that's how you're literally playing with 5D in itself. I want to end off saying that.
Man, that's great, because I was just about to ask you, if you got 30 seconds left, what would you say?
There you go.
Perfect, man. Beautiful. Well, if people want to get a hold of you, what's the best way for them to like reach out to you? And where can they find you at? Yeah,
so you can find me on YouTube, Devon Airbender, Instagram, _air_black_bender. So the Black Airbender. on Instagram. And you can look at me on Facebook and just type in Devon Airbender. You'll find me. And if you want to send me an email, the man is Devon33@outlook.com.
Gotcha.
So I thank you all for sharing your breath.
Then I thank you for sharing yours, man. I'll put all your credit, all your links and stuff to find you, bro. Down at the bottom, man. And yeah, y'all definitely check this guy out. And just having him as a friend on Facebook, you learn so much by just having him as a friend on Facebook. It's crazy. So thank you so much for the work you do, man. You're really out here changing lives, brother. And I'm out here trying to do the exact same thing. And it was an awesome conversation, man. So many like jaw-dropping moments for me, brother. So I know that people are going to benefit dramatically from this episode. So thank you so much for giving your time, and thank you for sharing your breath with me in this beautiful moment.
Likewise, brother. Peace.
Absolutely. Peace, brother. Have a good one.
You too.
Okay. Bye.